Hey, hey, hey. It's Move the Ball Monday, y'all. I am so glad you're here. I have gotten away from doing these Monday morning sessions, and I think I'm going to bring them back because I believe that um, I have something unique to add to the discussion. Yesterday, I posted that one thing we can do to resist divisiveness, unfairness, and what seems like chaos is to decide that we are going to impact the capitalistic system by ditching all desires for materialism. And here's what I mean. We think we need a lot of stuff, and I'm talking about myself too. And in fact, let me just show you. I like these lens wipes. They help to make my glasses clear. If you've been following me for any length of time, you know I stand for my glasses to be dirty. These come in a box of 50, and I'm not going to buy anymore because I have probably 10 of these things that work just as good to help get my glasses clean. And this is part of my small little revolutionary act. And when I talked about how materialism and our desire to buy things to make ourselves appear like we are valuable, like we are worthy, like we are deserving of any number of things, dignity and respect. Trust me, I know that there's a certain car that I can drive to a restaurant and get one type of treatment, and a different car I can drive and get another type of treatment. When I go to the local Vietnamese cafe here in town, there's a man who's there. And I remember one time I was wanting to buy his coffee for him, and one of the workers was like, "Girl, he don't need your money. He could probably buy this whole place out." And he was demonstrating no desire to make other people think he is worthy or not. He's just being him, whatever that means. And when you do that, you impact the economy in ways that cause people to pay attention. I have lived in the United States my entire life. In some ways, I feel like that is a gap in my experiences. In fact, I've lived in Missouri almost all my life. In fact, in Kansas City almost all my life. So it gives me a little bit of a limited view. However, when you think that you need a bunch of things, when you have space for a bunch of things, there's a right down the street from my house, there was a new storage facility built, and they tore down actual trees to build a storage facility, a place for houses basically for us to put our excess stuff because we don't have enough places to store our excess stuff in our homes. But living here has taught me nothing if not taught me that people care about money more than they care about anything else. And if we can move in the world in a way that we only buy the things we need, then we can impact who will listen to us and who will not. I am a avid supporter of boycotts, but boycotts like the bus boycott are not as easy to implement. I shouldn't say that. They're not nearly as effective as they used to be because at the time, certain groups of people were relegated to only using certain businesses. I couldn't just decide I was going to get in any cab. I couldn't just decide that I was going to go anywhere and buy any car. In fact, I couldn't just be a doctor if I wanted to or go to any university that I wanted to. And so, because of that, we were able to communicate in ways that were just only to certain people. We were able to move in ways that were clearly, you could tell it was our um, dollar block that was impacting the system. That's not so true anymore, right? Like Tabitha Brown had gone live and said that, hey, I have products in Target. Now I have a whole personal thought about what else can be done there, but I'm not in the spirit of telling other people what they need to do. Here's what I will tell you: most people do not like what is happening. Now, granted that they could have voted in ways that don't support that. They could be effing around and finding out. They could be uninformed, ill-informed. You call it whatever you want. And you might be right. But what is the most effective thing to do? I even think about when people were um, like taken to the streets and tearing up property in 2020. The only thing that got folks to say we got to do something different is because they were losing their property. And so here's what I think is simple, but it's not always easy because I like these things, right? Like I like these lens wipes. They're quick, they're effective. I can take them with me. They never get like these things get dirty, and if you wash them, they're not nearly as effective. That's a little makeup on there. But someone's like, well, what? I don't, I'm not going to use my gift cards now. Well, let's talk about gift cards. The money has already been spent. If somebody bought you a gift card, the money has already been spent. So you going to cash in your money is actually taking money away from those institutions, not giving more. Use your gift cards. In fact, if you were going to buy somebody a gift, maybe you re-gift a gift card that you had already been given so that you're not buying things you don't need. You're not spending money on these things. And if you're going to spend money on things you don't need, I'm not telling you to boycott Target. I'm not telling you to boycott Walmart. And one of the reasons why I'm not telling you to boycott Target specifically is because when I go to Target's website and I look at their diversity page and their belonging statement, what it appears that they've done is choose to be effective over being right. They know that the term DEI is under attack. And if you go to their website and look at what they're saying, they are saying almost everything that they said before. They never discriminated based on race. They gave opportunities to all people. And what the reason why I mentioned the Malcolm X quote in the caption for this particular Move the Ball Monday is because never let your enemy tell you how big or how dangerous things are for you, which is why I don't know how well this platform is going to work for us long term. But right now, don't even worry about boycotting social media and going to another social media platform. I have racist ideas. So certainly other companies have racist ideas. And here's what I mean. It is hard to grow up in a white supremacist culture and not get and swim around in white supremacist water and not get wet. I'm not talking about white supremacist actual people, but this idea that there are certain races of people who are better than others. I'm not going to get into the validity or I'm not getting into that today. What I am saying is it is well documented and proven that when you do things to support Black people, it helps all people, whether that be civil rights legislation, whether that be Reconstruction, no matter where you go back in history, liberatory design or a curb cut kind of theory where you build for the people who need it the most, helps everyone, works. And so if you need to buy something, and if it is a gift of sorts, at least if you're going to go to Target, perhaps buy Miss Tabitha's stuff. I would argue we don't need 50 seasonings. And how do we get from a point of using salt and pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, and going to get that in bulk? How do we get away from that to now we need Denos and we need this and we need that? Why do we need all these things? And when you need all these things and spend all this money, now you don't have the money to have the ability to be courageous in the way that you need. Right now, what we need more than anything is courage. And courage is stepping up and doing it scared. I understand people scared. But one, make sure you're scared about the right thing. Don't let people convince you that half the folks in the United States support the divisive, hateful stuff we're seeing right now. Don't let people make you think that. If there are people who are so anti-abortion that they voted outside of many of their own interests, we're not helping each other by attacking those folks. Don't spend any time on that. Spend time on what you are going to do in order to be able to combat this system that is working exactly as it should. Exactly as it is, well, exactly as it was designed to. So I like to think about, especially racial progress, like riding a bike up a hill. If I'm riding a bike up a hill and I ever take my foot off the pedal and stop pedaling, I'm gonna go back down the hill and very fast. You can't just stop pedaling and think that progress is still going to happen. And so here's what I know about the 92% of Black women who voted a specific way. Um, in the spirit of creating space for more people to feel like they could belong more often. Not all of us align to a liberal agenda. We don't. Not all of us are, believe that government should be as big as it is. Not all of us believe that, some of the policies that we've had around many things are in alignment with our values. I'm not speaking for myself necessarily. I'm just speaking as a collective. There's no group of people where 92% of them think the same thing. That just don't happen. And that just doesn't happen. But what Black women have in common is that being racist is a disqualifier for us. And we know we cannot hide our gender, and we know we cannot hide our race. We know and have always had to be subjected to being treated like a second class citizen when we are in spaces that are predominantly Black and male. We know that we have had been treated like second class citizens when we are in spaces that are predominantly white and male or white and female. And we know what that's like to have to align with something that's not quite everything we need in order to be able to make progress. And so what am I asking of you? You don't have to boycott nobody. If you live in a rural area and you need something from Amazon because you need some toilet paper because ain't no place to get it, listen, who am I to tell you not to use that method to get what you need? Here's what I am. If you go to Target and you know you were going to Target to get toilet paper, don't walk out anymore with a $200 cart of stuff. If you go to Walmart or Dollar General, because that's the only thing in your community, that's the only thing. I am not asking you to do something like I recognize that I have the privilege of not buying stuff because I got stuff. Like I get that. But if you are buying anything you don't need, ask yourself why. Am I trying to fill a hole that can't be filled by this stuff? If this place was going up in flames tomorrow, is this something that I needed or that I wanted so badly that I was willing to fuel this capitalistic system? Because let me tell you, these companies are not making this pivot morally. They're making this pivot because they follow the money. And we cannot boycott today and put a dent in Bezos's checkbooks in the way that we might have been able to in the 1950s. But we can all just decide, I got enough hats. I got enough gloves. I got enough whatever. I don't need a teddy bear for Valentine's Day. And if you want to pay for experiences, feel free. But I really wanted to just address this idea that the way you take over a society and get people to like give up is to make them think that they're by themselves in it, that half the people are against them. We are a global majority Black and brown people. We are. We are not a global minority. And in this country, we have a decent number of allies who care about bringing people together and creating a sense of belonging. And so you might be 100% right that last week, after just a few days, was a lot of crazy making. Right. You might be right that we tried to warn you. You're right. But what's one of the most effective things we can do? I think the revolution takes many different approaches, but just don't give up. Don't lay down and sit this one out. If you need to still rest, by all means rest, but don't die. Okay? This is not sit this out to the end. And I'm going to make one last comment and then I'm going to let you go because it's a little long for a Movable Monday. But courage is doing it scared. If you tell me you're courageous because you got courage when it don't require you to stand up for somebody, that's not courage. That's not courage. And if you were interested in a leadership seat, if you were interested in a leadership seat, leadership requires courage. You don't get to sit down and just say, "This is the law," when it is time for you to lean into what the mission, vision, and values are of your organization, whatever that is. I mostly talk for a living. That is the gift that God has given me. I don't do much else. And so, what I am offering up is that if you don't know what to do, you don't know how to lead your team, you are stuck, you are scared, and you need a strategy, a plan, some ideas, I'm offering up that whoever, as much as I have capacity to do it, reaches out at drnicoleprice.com and schedules a meeting, I will gift you the hour of a free coaching conversation to help you or your team figure out what you're going to do in response to whatever it is that's plaguing you. But sitting by and watching as a small group of people, because I believe this is a small group of people, are pushing the bike back down the hill, not acceptable. Not acceptable. It's Move the Ball Monday. We've got work to do.